All right, a library in one of the most liberal towns in America is now at the center of a huge uproar. The public library is in Davis, California. They're now under fire after kicking out former college athlete, soccer player, who spoke at an event about protecting the integrity of women's sports. She was thrown out for supposedly misgendering people during her remarks. Take a look at this.
I played college soccer. When I played college soccer, my freshman year, prejudice and hatred is not welcome in Davis. Please record this because people are sending this to me. Can we just, why am I being asked to leave?
Because you were talking about, it was misgender, you were talking about men and females.
We should also mention that this very same library was the subject of a bomb threat, briefly closing the area around it today. And while the incident is still under investigation, it goes without saying that on this show, we condemn any form of violence or even the threat of it. Now, the woman that you see in that video, Sophia Lorey, reached out to Riley Gaines and the Riley Gaines Center at the Leadership Institute to get her story out. She joins us now, along with the director of that center, Riley Gaines herself. Good to see you, Sophia. Now, my understanding is, first and foremost here, that before you even told your story, you were accused of misgendering people. Is that true? You didn't even get to tell any of your story?
Correct. I didn't even have the ability to share my story. I began with saying that men don't belong in women's sports and was immediately cut off.
Okay. Then a librarian in the back of the room jumped in, reminding people the state law recognizes transgender women as women. Then you slowly began to tell your story. You got cut off very quickly. For the fact that you said a current 10-year-old girls cannot live out the same dream as long as men are allowed to compete in women's sports. And then the librarian weighs in again. You shifted to biological girls and biological men. Now, tell me, and then you were asked to leave?
Yeah, it was extremely upsetting to have a government official violate my First Amendment rights, and I don't want any other American or any other girl to experience what I experienced last night.
Okay, and how long were you even there before they asked you to leave? Because they wouldn't even listen to your point of view.
I started to speak and only got about a minute in where I said, we are going to take questions and answers and comments from people of opposing viewpoints at the end of the meeting. And let's be respectful and make it through the entire informational forum. And we only got 2 minutes into it.
Now, I read that you're threatening a lawsuit. Will you follow through with that?
I am moving forward with looking into the best options, and I do believe my First Amendment right was violated.
Riley, I mean, we've had you on the show a number of times. This is exactly why you have now built out the Riley Gaines Institute.
Absolutely. We're seeing this happen time and time and time again. And I first just want to say how proud I am of Sophia to be in that environment where you have hecklers, you have protesters, you have people shouting you down, men, women, men dressed as women, women dressed as men. That's a really, really scary environment. But to stick your ground, stay true to your conviction and speak your heart, that's a true testament of someone who's brave. So, Sophia, I couldn't be more grateful for you. But you're exactly right, Sean. That's exactly what the Riley Gaines Center was created for, is to help get stories out like Sophia's.
Let me ask you, have you built out as part of your center any legal foundation, or do you have any lawyers that are willing to help in cases like this so they can stop the suppression of freedom of speech? I don't care whether people like it or not. Nobody had to go to this event. They weren't forced to go there. And if they didn't want to hear the arguments on the other side, they could have quietly left and allow other people to hear Sophia's point of view. Will you challenge this legally? Do you have lawyers willing to support you?
Absolutely. We are building out a legal team now, which is incredible news because, just as you mentioned, the freedom of speech is under threat. Again, we're seeing it in college campuses. We're seeing it in regards to the media, academia, corporate America. There are so many different realms where we're seeing this threat really have us in a chokehold, which is a pretty chilling thought, to be totally frank. It's a pretty Marxist ideology to threaten our First Amendment rights, but we're seeing it time and time again. So definitely building out a legal team.
I support both of you in your efforts to protect women's sports, especially at the collegiate level, having a daughter that is an athlete. So anyway, thank you both. We appreciate the good work, and thanks for telling us your story, and best of luck, Sophia.